Hello. Hi, everyone. Welcome back to Lisa's Love and Light. I'm back again today with a message. The topic of discussion today is losing a loved one. Lately, it seems like if you've been watching the news, that a lot of celebrities are passing away along with other people. And it seems like a time of mourning, a time of loss, unfortunately. And it's painful. As I said in a prior video, it seems to be a lot more pain when someone passes away unexpectedly. Like if you know that a loved one is sick and they've been sick for quite some time and they may be in hospice, you know the end is coming. And so you try to prepare yourself for that. However, when someone passes away unexpectedly, that is one of the most difficult things to go through. That's what I find. That it's very difficult. So we're going to talk about today. We're going to have a brief discussion today about getting through the grief of losing a loved one, and it is so difficult. But we have to keep having these discussions because the only way to deal with this is to address the elephant in the room. Now, many of us may have grown up in a different environment or setting where, years ago, we were probably told what goes on in this house stays in this house. Whatever goes on that doesn't feel right or doesn't look right or whatever the case may be, let's just not talk about it, just pretend you didn't see it or something. And that is the most difficult thing because that means issues are not being addressed, wounds are not being healed, closure is not taking place. And in order for us to grow and to heal, we have to have a source, an outlet for these things. Because once we have a source and outlet, a place where we can talk about all of these things, regardless of what the feelings and emotions may be, anger, fear, sadness, whatever the case may be, it needs to be discussed. Otherwise, things will erupt like a volcano. And we see that happening in so many different areas of individuals' life if they're not dealing with these matters, especially now that we're talking about these matters of grief. Because once a loved one is gone, they're gone. And we no longer have that physical contact with them. I do believe that they pass on to the spiritual world and they become our ancestors and spirit guides. But that's another discussion. So today, what I want to do is talk to those who have lost loved ones and who are grieving because the grief, like, say, for example, myself, when I like to fix things and help and make things better. When I lost my mom, there was no fixing that. There's no help for that. There's no, okay, let me bring her back. It's done, it's over. And the worst part of that for me, as I said um, in prior videos, so there may be some new people here, so I will repeat, is that when she passed away during a shutdown. Like we had to shut down in February of 2020, and she passed away that April. I could not leave Massachusetts. I could not, because she passed away in New York. I could not go to a funeral services, none of us, because we were in the middle of the pandemic. And at that particular time, no one knew enough about what was going on with COVID. We just knew that people were dying from it and that we had to stay in a shutdown. And it was difficult because we had a memorial service. And at the memorial service, she had already been buried. And we had, like I said before, I had that last conversation with her on the phone where she told me I love you, and she knew she was gone. It was the saddest thing in the world, and it changed my life and my world forever. However, what doesn't destroy you will make you stronger. Learning ways to get through this will help you through this. Making lemons into lemonade, so to speak, because death is inevitable. But however, when death happens one after another, like a big lump sum, like it did during a pandemic, it's devastating. And we have to find ways as an outlet to speak about it so that we can get out those emotions that are stuck within us. Pretending that there are no feelings, pretending that you're okay is not a good place to be, because I tried to do that for a minute, and then my emotions were all over the place. And it would happen at the most inconvenient time. I'm in a store, I see something, or I hear a specific song, or hear something that reminded me of my mother, or even watch the show, that something that we used to do together. Or I may have forgotten in the beginning. I forgot a lot because I used to talk to her like a few times a week. And I picked up the phone to talk to her and realized that she's gone. And that was the worst feeling, more than any other feeling, because I had literally forgot until the phone was ringing and, oh, she's not there, because she was living in a nursing home at that time. And it was difficult. It was hard. And then we're in a shutdown, so we're indoors and no one to talk to, except for like what we're doing here. That's the time that everyone was doing Zoom and YouTube, and people are still doing that to this day. But when I decided that I needed to speak to someone, it was so important for me to do that. Because I had grown up in a family where that was not looked upon favorably. And so, but it was necessary, because losing my mom, losing my dog, losing friends, and it was just going on and on and on and on, like a domino effect. You have a line of dominoes and one, and it goes around and knock down all the dominoes. That's how it felt like in my life. All these people who I cared about and who was a part of my life are dying off. Not just one here, one there, but in groups, literally during the shutdown. So it's very difficult. And I feel that it's really disrespectful and very cold when someone says, oh, well, that was in 2020. You should get over that by now. No one should ever tell anyone else who's going through grief and lost someone, and it's a huge loss to them, that they should be over that. Everybody grieves and heal at their own time, in time. Nothing is concrete about you should heal tomorrow or next week or next year. Everyone heal at their own space. And one of the things that help you to cope with the loss is therapy. For those who are tuning in, because I've been asking others who watch this channel to share, subscribe, and not only like, but to share this with others, because there's so many others who may have just recently lost a loved one, and they're having all these different types of emotions, but they're not sharing. They're just staying in hermit mode. And it's important to, in the beginning, because I was in hermit mode for a while, quite some time. However, at some point, it was necessary to do therapy. And therapy doesn't mean that you're mentally unstable or anything like that, as I was taught growing up. It is an outlet to speak to someone, to get out those emotions and feelings, to talk about that loved one, to keep their memory alive, to talk about the good and the bad, and talk about what they meant to your life, how they improved it. I always talk about my mom, to keep her memory alive, to know how much, my life has changed because she's no longer here. And these things, talk about it, write these things down, what you're feeling, at this time, whatever you're feeling. And if those emotions are very strong, write them down. I had a lot of homework assignments that my therapist would give me, and he still does from time to time. But as I feel stronger and better, I told him that I want to help others because there are people out there, some that I know who are really hurting right now. There's a few people I know who who just lost loved ones, and they're hurting, and they're depressed, and they don't want to talk about it, or perhaps they don't know how to talk about it. So what I'm suggesting is that whatever area that you are, whatever state you live in, please Google the bereavement centers or therapists, grief therapists in your area, and then call a few and see which one, and speak to a few of them, and find out which one you feel comfortable connecting with. It's so important to connect everyone, male or female, because we all go through grief. Just because you're a guy doesn't mean you're not supposed to cry or feel anything, especially if you lost someone who was so close to you. It's so important to get this help. And also, if not only getting that grief therapist, but also as an addition, doing grief, going to a grief group, counseling group, where there are other people there who recently lost loved ones, because those others are going to share their stories. And as they share those stories, there may be something in what they say that can help you, because you're not going through this alone. Other people are going through it. And to find out how they're getting through it, it's so important to hear other stories, because that would help you as well. One day at a time. And, someone needs to hear this message, because sometimes we can go into a state of depression where we don't want to talk to anyone or see anyone, etc. And that's okay in the beginning, but as more time goes along, it's important to do the therapy so that it can help you to get better. Mental health, taking care of your physical and mental health is so important. And I'm here to encourage everyone also to talk about a seminar. I'm still in a process of working that out. It may be towards the end of April or the first week in May. So I will be getting back to you with that information, because what I would like to do is to invite as many people who can attend the seminar. And I'm going to encourage you at that time to RSVP. And then while we're at the session, I want to hear stories of those who are going through the grief, and what difficult challenges that they're having, challenges. I want to know the pros and the cons. And when we hear other people's stories, then it will uplift us and help us, because we are all human and we all go through something. But if we encourage one another by hearing each other's stories and talk about, the ups and downs and how we got through it, will help somebody else, because someone else may be in a position of really deep depression where they feel suicide. And I never ever want to hear those stories, because there's help out there. So please, feel free. You don't have to talk to anybody else about what you're going to do as far as calling up a therapist or whatever. If you don't want to, you can keep that to yourself, but please do that, because that is a first step into getting your mental health and physical health in order. Because in the beginning, when you go through this grieving process, you're not going to want to do anything but stay to yourself. I know for myself in the beginning, I didn't even want to get up out of bed. And at that time that all this happened was during a shutdown, so no one was going to work anyway. But I want to help others, and keep doing these videos so that someone somewhere is going to hear the message and they know what to do to start the process. So thank you all for being here today. Um, Please share the video as I stated before. Subscribe to the channel. I will be back on again in about 2 to 3 days from now. And share, like, and invite others. If you know other people who are grieving and they're grieving really hard and they need to hear this message, please share this video with others. And let's keep this going, because we all can help one another, through this channel. And when I do the seminars and see how the first one go, and then I will be doing more in the future. So please, please share this. And if you subscribe to the channel, then you will know when the next video will be on, which should be in a few days. Thank you everyone for being here. I really appreciate the support. And thank you again. This is Lisa Love and Light. I will be back in a few days with another message of encouragement. Have a great day. I will see you in a few days. Thank you. Bye for now.